All right.
What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him, and I'm joined by my man, basketball fan, Sports Talk Terry on all social media platforms. It's good. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
You know, I'll just jump right to it. Your Pacers are rolling. Your
Oh,
boy
my
Halliburton is
Pacers.
rolling. Yeah, they're your Pacers
Oh,
because I don't know anybody else that's a Pacers fan. Full disclosure, give everybody a backdrop. I do not like Tyrese Halliburton. I don't like anything about him. I don't like the cut of his jib. I don't like the style of play. I don't like his style. I don't like anything about the dude. There's
Team
nothing.
Light Skin.
Yeah, and I that too, man. He is one of the waffle colored Negroes that just drives you crazy. But he's hooping, and I'm gonna give him credit. I kind of feel like we're building up for a major letdown, but right now it's the
No,
build. So we'll go for it.
you're playing with
How
house money.
how impressed have you been with Halliburton so much from
Well,
the second half of the season up until now?
well, here's the thing. That man was literally voted the most overrated player in the association. He didn't get mad about it.
I don't stand on
He
an
didn't get
island.
upset
I know
about
you
it.
like to think I do, but I don't stand on an island.
Listen, and that's fine. And all he did was go out and let his play speak. They went up there, they beat up on Giannis, took their soul. Then came out to Cleveland, he took their soul. I don't know what else more you want him to do. That man is building a legacy just like Ant-Man is building a legacy, knocking off all the greats. Listen, at some point, grown men gonna have to put their sneakers on all the same and go play ball. And that man, no matter what you say about him, he's a 6'6" combo guard who's more of a floor general than not, who doesn't turn the ball over a lot, can shoot the three and play defense. I don't know what else more you want him to do. He's a poor man's SGA. That's what he is. He's a poor man's SGA who can get his shot when he wants it, who can lead his team on both sides of the floor, and he leads his team to wins. Nobody, not you, not me, not Vegas, had the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals when they looked at
No,
this playoff
not at all.
bracket. And I know
Not
for a
at
fact a
all.
buddy of mine laid $100 on the Pacers at 65-1 to get to the ECF and got 125-1 for him to win the title, and he's already hedging. I said, yeah. I said, right now you're looking great. So it looks good to
But
me.
we didn't pick the Pacers, but
No,
both of us sat here and said we didn't know who was coming out of the Eastern Conference Finals. Neither
very
one of
true.
us believed it was going to go with Cleveland, but we thought Cleveland would at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They did. I thought they did, and I think you said you thought so too. But no one, we I don't remember. It's been a month or so, but I don't remember definitively having an Eastern Conference pick. I think we both
No,
kind of said maybe the Knicks. I knew you said you can't forget about the Celtics, but we weren't bullish on anybody. So you give credit to
right.
Halliburton for taking out the Cavs. I was surprised that they did. But, the playoffs have been full of surprises and disappointments. More disappointments than
Uh-huh.
surprises. We'll go, Pistons, Rockets, Lakers. We'll go into that. But the thing I've been most impressed with Halliburton with is his the seizing the moment, the knack he has showing for taking the moment away, like the opportunities. He's seizing the opportunities. He hits the big three to set them up 2-0 against Cleveland. You know what I
In
mean? He
Cleveland.
hits.
In
He,
Cleveland.
he makes key shots and then gets into it with Damian Lillard against Milwaukee. And it's not just the late second shots or late game shots. It's the
Right.
second quarter plays. When the opposing team is rolling and you need to get a bucket, he's been getting those buckets. It's when a
Getting the
guy,
bucket.
Max Strus, I believe, got hot a couple of times in that series, and he gets the key blocks against him. He gets a lot of blocks on him. Gets one key block to spearhead a fast break. He's making those plays. He's playing with an arrogance. He's actually playing the way you thought some of your other Olympians like Joel Embiid and players like that would have played when they came back. But you roll your eyes when I'm saying, no, he was the one that we forgot about. He was on the Olympic team. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He was on the Olympic
Barely
team. And
getting burned. Barely getting burned.
if you remember when LeBron came back from the bronze Olympic team that AI was on, and Carmelo came back and Wade came back, you go check this. You get your Googles on. You go back. They were monsters the year they came back. We all
Mm-hmm.
just assumed it would be Duncan, AI, Richard Jefferson, Lamar Odom would be the monsters. It wasn't. It was those three, and they never looked back. So Halliburton and Anthony Edwards are both rolling now, and we'll stick on Halliburton. Do you think the Pacers are going to come out of the Eastern Conference now?
I
I'm
think
gonna
their
tell you
odds.
no, but you go
I
ahead.
think their odds. I think their odds are good if they get Boston. I do not like it if they get the Knicks. And here's the thing. I thought when Tatum went down that the series was over, they'd lose, but something about the heart of a champion. Jaylen Brown took the onus on him. He won game 5. Crazier things in the NBA have happened. You do not want Boston game 7 in Boston, whether you're the Knicks or not. I think the Knicks have to put it away this weekend. If they don't, they're done. And if the Celtics get to the ECF minus Tatum against the Pacers come out the East. With Tatum, no. But without Tatum, they can beat them.
Well, I'm going to say
they match up very well against them.
I want to stay on the Pacers topic. We can talk Knicks and Celtics later in the show, but I want to stay on the Pacers topic. I say no because I don't believe in Halliburton like that. And it's not so much, I guess at some point he's going to have, what's the phrase, you got to make me a believer? Is that how the phrase goes?
What do you want the man to do? He beat the Bucks, which nobody thought they were beating, and they had Lillard, and they had Giannis coming into the series. They went up and whooped up on the Cavaliers, who were at full strength until game 3. What else do you? And they're winning games on the road, not games at home, games on the road in the other team's home, where there should be an advantage that favors the home team. They're winning those games, and it's led by Halliburton. You don't hear about Benedict Mathurin or Nebert or Miles Turner. Yeah, they're there. But they're, Pascal Siakam even, they're there, but it's all an engine that's ran by Tyrese Halliburton. He's the engine that drives the car. You got to give the man credit. You can't take that from him. He's playing out of his mind right now, and that's why they're winning.
It pains my soul to say this, but you're right. It hurts my spirit. Say you're right. And I know you hate that.
Many argument about Tyrese.
I know you hate when I say you're right, and I agree with you. So I don't agree with you, but you are right. The thing about it, though, is it's just, I don't know. I'm a Taurus. You're a Taurus, we're Tauruses. And one thing about us, people like to say we're bold, so we're stubborn. And it's not that we're stubborn, we're focused. You don't just don't get our attention all willy-nilly. You got to earn that crap. And when I look at Halliburton, I still see the guy that knocked the ball out of bounds against Boston. Still see the guy that blows a tire in critical moments. The season, critical moments in a playoff series, critical moments in games. And then I just think he's playing. Like we're gonna talk later on about the Cavs. The question is underachieved or overachieved. I feel like right now the Pacers are playing above their heads. They're just a hot team, and he's a hot player. And once he cools off, he won't be able to duplicate this type of feat. Won't be able to duplicate this type of production. Won't be able to do. We'll see. Make me a believer. I mean, at this point, and you say, what else does he need to do? He needs to win the Eastern Conference Finals. And then guess what? He wins the Eastern Conference Finals. Still ain't gonna pick his ass in the NBA Finals. And guess what?
They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, though.
And they win the NBA Finals. I ain't gonna pick his ass to repeat. So just get ready for it. I don't believe. When you get out
just
there,
say it don't really matter what he do unless he obliterates everybody and wins the chip and Finals MVP. Just say that.
No, you can say it again. You can say it again. Say it again for the people. Say it again for the slow and special. It doesn't matter what he does.
What you're saying is setting unrealistic expectations because you don't have that on anybody else in basketball.
No, I do. I do have those. I do have those for other people in basketball. It's just they exceeded them. And I can tell you right now, the guy that he beat in the first round, I didn't believe in Giannis until right before. I didn't believe in Giannis until the bubble. When they lost to Miami and Miami set that wall up and he couldn't get over that. He could, and it was like figuratively, literally. I didn't believe in Giannis until the bubble. But when they set that wall up and I saw how frustrated he was, that's when I believed him. But going back, I want to finish this note up the page so we can move to the next. I will say this. I need to see consistency from their number 2, whoever that's going to be. That's the player that will probably convince me. Because I just don't believe in Halliburton long term. And prove me wrong. He'll also see something regardless. You mentioned Jaylen Brown. If you listen to the Knicks or the Celtics, he'll see something that he hasn't seen yet. And because he didn't see it in Milwaukee and he didn't see it in Cleveland. You're going to see I don't say elite defender, but an effort defender. Jrue Holiday, some people, I think it's a bit overdrawn, but he is a good defender, but he's an effort defender. You're going to get effort from him every time he's on the floor. 94 feet, you're going to get effort from Drew Holiday. And if he plays the Knicks, you're going to jump out your goal. But he's going to get effort defender from Josh Hart. And Josh Hart's a guy that's going to compete for 94 feet. And look, they're not Walt Frazier or Dennis Rodman or Draymond Green. But when a guy is pounding and hounding for 94, think Pat Bev. Eventually gets under your skin. And that's something they'll see in the conference finals. He hasn't seen maybe how he handles that because he didn't handle it well last year. I just mentioned Drew Holiday, Celtics mentioned Jalen Brunson, mentioned Josh Hart. It's the Celtics kind of alluded to it, mentioned it. You didn't think you underestimated the heart of a champion. Let me ask you this. Did you underestimate the heart of a champion, or did you forget that Tom Thibodeau was coaching the Knicks?
No, I didn't forget that Tom Thibodeau coached the Knicks because I know Tom Thibodeau coaches the Knicks and he has a tendency to burn guys into the ground. But losing a top 10 player on any roster, losing a top 10 player on any roster, nobody expects you to win. I don't care what team you are. You take a top 10 player in the association off your team, you're not expected to go out and win in the playoffs when you're down. Most people expect you to fold like laundry and get on up out of there and start working on your Cancun trip. Like, I respect the fact that they came out and played. I think it was an emotional win. It was good to see them give their fans something to cheer about. But honestly, I think the series is over in New York. They want to celebrate in the Garden. The Knicks haven't been in the ECF since the 90s. So they're very excited about the opportunity and prospect of playing for something beyond regular season accolades. And I think that matters.
I also believe Jalen Brunson is a guy that made me a believer. Now, granted, he's had a shorter journey to do that. But he's a player that has delivered high
There
you go. That's perfect. That
he that dude.
We could even remove dude and insert racial slur, but we won't. But he is that racial slur. Like he is, and I love the way they play. And
fearless, man.
Yeah,
they Villanova 2.0.
And we're both Sixer
with a whole bunch of Villanova guys.
Like we're both, but the Villanova stuff, it's a great point. Villanova stuff aside, though, just from top to bottom, the way the Knicks, like Karl-Anthony Towns, it's just he
hasn't had a good series though.
Did you think he would?
But that's my point. What I'm saying is, you say the Villanova thing doesn't play, but I'm telling you, the engine that stirs the drink on that team is Brunson, Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges with the 2 big stops. Okay, those are Villanova guys. You know where they learned all that effort and hustle, and we don't quit and we play for 48 minutes from? Playing under Jay Wright, Hall of Fame college coach.
Were they all seniors?
No,
I got to check and see. Did they?
I don't think when they won their championship they were all seniors.
No, they stayed 4 years though, right?
Yeah, and Brunson is a 2-time champ, and I think Hart's a 2-time champ.
If we can check and see that. I just love the way they play, man. You mentioned fearless. It's a toughness. It's a toughness you don't see in basketball. And, we'll see it. You'll see it sometimes in certain moments of the game. Jaylen Brown is a guy that plays with it, but he disappears because he's not as skilled as he should be, but they plays the toughness. And I didn't think Towns would have a good series just because I felt this was a difficult matchup for them because the Celtics shoot a lot of threes. And they often spread the court out, and they've got a guy probably – he's not the most because I often feel like Melo's the most, but they've got a guy who's one of the more underappreciated players of our generation in Al Horford. Al Horford is a guy that doesn't put up major numbers, but he's an elite defender. He's an elite basketball mind, and he's a guy that most bigs struggle with, whether it's Embiid, whether it's I'm trying to think of another big, Anthony Davis. He's a guy that gives guys fit. So I thought Towns would struggle with him, so I'm not surprised that he didn't make it through. But yeah, I think the Knicks close this series out in New York more than anything because they have to.
Yeah, they don't want Game 7. They don't want Game 7.
Well, it's not even to go to a Game 7 in Boston. You don't want to have another game against a defending champion. That's what we're seeing in OKC.
Right.
You gotta beat these dudes. You have to beat a champion. You can't leave it to decision. You can't leave it to somebody else. You have to beat a champion. That's why Tom Brady was so difficult to beat in Super Bowls. Because you can't, You have to beat them. You have to literally detach their body from the ball, Brandon Graham. That's how you beat them. So putting that back on the basketball court, you have to beat the Boston Celtics. You cannot show up and expect them to do anything other than play. So you have to come in there and you have to literally detach their body from the ball in order to win, or you're not going to win. So they don't want to give another, if Denver wins this series in OKC, well, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, I
Yeah,
really think the Knicks close this out this season. I really think the Knicks close this out. I'll give you the final segment on topic. Do you think the Knicks close it out? And if you do,
I
well,
do think
first,
the
do you
Knicks.
think the Knicks close it out?
I do think the Knicks close it out Game 6 tonight at the Garden. Oh, and by the way, everybody but Josh Hart was on both those championship teams. So Josh Hart was there for the first one, not the second one, because he was a
But did he
senior.
play
Everybody
4
else was there.
years?
He
He played
did,
4
but he
years.
was a but he was a senior when they won their first title, and then when they won their second one, he was already gone. But Hart, Brunson, and DiVincenzo, Hart, Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Bridges were all still there.
The reason why
No,
I
I'm
bring that up
sorry.
before you go
I'm
to your
sorry.
next
Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Bridges were still there.
the reason why I bring that up before you move to your next point is this: we're approaching the NBA draft, and one thing for people that don't know, I used to want to be an NBA general manager. Then when I had other things in life that I was more or not equally as passionate about, the idea of having to go through the rigmarole and the political obstacles to get there, I gave up. But anyway, and the reason why I knew I would be a successful general manager is I would not draft international players. I would draft college seniors. And it's
They the logic is you lose years of potential upside building with them. Getting a 19-year-old versus a 22, 23-year-old is way different. And the NBA looks at how many years can we get the best of this guy? And
well,
we're
they
getting
do
him at
that in the
22,
NFL too.
23, and it takes 2 years to adjust. He's 25 before he hits his peak versus if he comes in at 19, like Giannis, he's hitting his
Uh-huh.
peak at 24 and he's a monster for the next decade. It's way different than getting him at 23. He doesn't hit his peak till 26, and maybe you get 5 years of him.
That's a good point, but let me counter that with this. So I go into my boardroom or my board of directors or my COO, CFO, and I say, look, if I draft a guy senior in the bottom of the first round, we've got him for 5 years. We've got him for 5 years on a rookie scale. So now, and he hits his peak faster. He comes in more mature, comes in more ready to play. Conversely, you take an international player by the time he gets to his peak, so now you've got a maxing. Now you've got a longer window where you've got to pay him more money versus a shorter window where you got to pay him less money. I use an example of Carlos Boozer for you. Let's see, I'll use another example for you. The guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, Gilbert Arenas. People don't mention the Hall of Fame. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Gilbert
I don't know
Arenas
about
had a
Hall
small
of Fame, but he was a very, very good player.
Gilbert Arenas, but anyway, he was a second round pick. Right, second round pick in 2 years. His contract at that time with the collective bargain changed a little bit. But Richard Jefferson went first in that draft. Richard Jefferson got significantly more money than Gilbert Arenas in the long term. Who would you say had a better career? You probably would say Richard Jefferson because he won an NBA title, he played longer, whatever you want to say, played for more teams. Gilbert got a smaller amount of money in a shorter amount of time. So as an organization, I'm paying you less, I'm getting the most out of you in a shorter amount of time, and then you can move on. You get a guy younger, he's in the NBA longer, you got to pay him longer, and you don't get the most out of him. We got
But that's NBA. The NBA. That's the NBA. That comes down to ownership logic. If the owner is trying to build for the long term versus the short term, you either can get a Daryl Morey who wants to build with going and getting free agents, or you
He
can
don't want
get
to build. Use another
a Sam
example. He
Presti
don't
who
want to
builds
build.
through the draft. Huh?
Daryl Morey doesn't want to build, and I said
Exactly. Or
we
you can
weren't
get
going to
Sam
talk
Presti
about
who
Morey,
builds
but
through the draft and young guys, and he's got one of the best teams in the West for the next half decade without a sweat and a billion picks.
you we'll see how the OKC turns out. But yeah, the thing about Presti's got a good team, put together a good team through the draft, right?
Very good team.
Think about all the guys he missed on. Think about all the guys he missed on. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. He's not the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs, even when they miss, they still
hit.
get NBA
They hit.
vets
They
for
hit.
10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when they don't get the superstar, they still get guys that can play for 10 years. That's also player development. Quickly, do you think the Knicks close this series out?
Yeah, I think they close it out tonight. It's over.
Tonight? So
Drop
we're
safe.
looking at now we've got, and I don't want to come back and revisit this out. We got about 6 minutes left. So that means we both agree it'll be a Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference. Jesus.
Yes. Yes.
1998 again? Like,
You know what's crazy? I had a conversation where some guy asked me, he said, "What storyline do you think is better for the Eastern Conference in the NBA? Do you think it's better to see the Knicks or the Celtics?" Because this is before Tatum went down, or the Pacers. And I said, if you want me to be honest with you, for the purpose of storylines, the Knicks making the finals would be huge. Madison is a huge market, big garden. The Knicks haven't been relevant. I mean, since, your kids were, not even here. Like, we're talking eons, decades ago when they were actually a relevant team. And you've got the storyline with, Karl Anthony Towns switching teams, coming to the East from the West, making his name, Jalen Brunson emerging as the superstar player, the Knicks being relevant, blah, 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 Thibodeau redemption, the whole nine. But from a watchability standpoint, and this is me, I think the Pacers make a more exciting Eastern Conference representative because they get up and down and they run. And people want to see high scoring affairs. They don't want to see a 92-90. They want to see 117 to 115. They want to see a shootout, a whole bunch of scoring, a whole bunch of fast breaking. And the one thing that the Pacers do and do well is they run. They run. They get out. They run.
So who wins the series?
Between the two?
Between the Knicks and the Pacers. Both agree that it's going to be the Pacers.
Watch this. I think the Pacers can beat the Knicks. I think
they
do.
Who wins the series? Not can.
I'm telling you, I think the Pacers beat the Knicks. And the reason I do is because the Knicks have a gritty style and it's cool, but they have yet to slow down a team that can get out and run on them. They struggle against teams that can get out in transition and get up and down the floor on them. And that's the one thing the Pacers do well. Styles make fights. They have a style that's very, very hard to defend because first brick, it's an outlet pass, and they're up the floor taking layups. The Knicks are more of a half-court offense, set it up, slow it down. The only chance they have is by making key baskets and limiting possessions. Only shot.
I believe that the Knicks have better skilled players than the Pacers, and that's why.
That's fair.
That's why fair. I didn't want to say elite scorers, but I believe they have more skilled players, and that's why they win. And the Knicks going to the NBA Finals without one guy on that roster that contributes in a major way that they drafted, the Knicks are going to change the NBA in the next 10 years. Them going to the NBA Finals is going because here's why. You mentioned build through the draft. OKC is going to fall short. I believe OKC is going to lose to Denver.
Really?
If that happens, the only guy on the only two guys on Denver's roster that were drafted that's formidable was Jamal Murray
and Joker.
Joker was a second-round pick. Murray was I think he was out of the top.
He was first.
Top five.
Yeah,
I know he was first, but I think he was out of the top five. I want to say he was seven. But what I'm trying to make is Jamal Murray's never even been an all-star. Never even been an all-star. So you got a Knicks team made up of guys that were acquired through free agency and trade. And you got a Denver team where their best player was a second-round pick. The value on the NBA draft is going to go with the Knicks going to the NBA Finals. And that's not a bad thing because it's a guy that loves the NBA draft and a guy that believes the Knicks are the way you should play basketball. I'm excited about that because that means you'll have less guys in the NBA draft room and more guys in NBA free agency throwing money away. And I'd rather have that so I can sit and evaluate a guy and find out where a guy's going to go. I'll give you the last minute in 1 second. No, actually, I'm going to take the last minute. It's only a minute left. See, I like the Knicks to win this series. I like them to win it. And I like Karl Anthony Towns to be the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Yeah, I said it. I think that style, that team, I think that fits everything he does well. Everything he does well.
He needs to play better now or that don't happen.
He don't need to play.
He's not had a good series.
Yeah, but he don't need to play better now because this series isn't a good series for him, and he's not going to get the best of Horford. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. He's Everett Terry Jr. I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones. Until next time, we appreciate you here. You be easy.